And we're back. And look at that. The Dodgers are still world champions. We're still basking in it. We're still celebrating it. And we've got a whole lot to get to. Already a ton has happened this offseason. Blake Snell is a Dodger. Juan Soto is not. Teoscar Hernández is still unemployed. What will happen there? We have a whole bunch to get to. My name's Ryan Bershinger. She's Monse Bolaños. He is Beau Benson. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodgers Zone. Let's get into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. The Dodgers Zone.
Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Gibby, meet Freddie. Game 1 of the World Series.
The sickest LA Dodgers podcast.
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
It's gonna be sick.
Wow.
I know. I haven't heard that in a while. I haven't heard that call. So good.
What a wonderful brand new intro. Oh, yes. Thank God. That's all we wanted, was to start a new season with a new intro. Kirk Gibson is gone. We're never going to think about that home run ever again.
Okay, don't say never, but
Jeez,
yes.
Dude,
I know.
It's fine. It's fine. That's so much better.
Everyone gets it.
Wonderful. Oh man. Okay, I want to start off, guys. When we are recording this, it's a very significant date because you realize today it is the 1-year anniversary of when the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, that guy.
I didn't even. How did you remember that? Did you put it in your calendar? Is it like an anniversary for you?
Well, I remember it because the world found out about it, and then I found out about it like 9 hours after.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
I was on an airplane coming home from the Philippines.
Correct.
And once we landed, I had looked at my phone. And actually, this is the story of how I found it out. I had a bunch of notifications coming in, but the first notification to come through was in my group me with my fantasy football league. And it was a notification from one Chase Barrett, friend of the show. Thank you, Chase. Who's also a Giants fan. And it was a comment. I don't remember what it said exactly, but it was a very sad, depressed meme and something about a certain player doing something. And I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Does this mean what I think it means? And then, yeah. Then I saw everything and it was, oh my goodness.
What an exciting moment for you. 9 hours later.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was just for me. But no, seriously, this has been 1 year of Ohtani. And I don't think it's hyperbolic to say, like, what it did to us as Dodger fans. Not only did it usher in the golden era of Dodger baseball, because do we really need to recap what the last year has been? A 50-50 season, an MVP season, a World Series win. Like, it couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah.
It's not only ushering in this golden era of Dodger baseball, but I think it changes the Dodgers as a franchise literally for the rest of time. This is it. It's all pre-Shohei and post-Shohei. And we are, also active Shohei. We are in active Shohei. We are in the decade of Ohtani. And it started with a World Series win. It does not get any better than this. This is incredible.
I'm sure, like, obviously there's going to be more to this in 10 years. But I feel like if you were to just ask, if in 10 years we only win the first one off his first year, was it worth it? Yes. Yes, it was. It's already been worth it. Like, we're good. We don't have to hold our breaths anymore. There's nothing we're waiting. We got it. And now you can just imagine that there will be more to the story as it continues. But what's crazy is delivered in the first year when the year was not an easy one.
Yeah. That's the big part, I think, too, is how it started and how it ended is polar opposites of what you would expect. But he paid for himself already, I'm sure. And I don't remember if we really talked about it. We were all pretty drunk that night, but like people trying to immediately do the like, well, Ohtani didn't contribute to this because he didn't hit well in the World Series. Like, what's wrong with you? Why is that the first thing your brain goes to?
Because that's all it had at that point. It's literally
it's wild. I saw a Padres fan on Instagram the other day saying that the Dodgers have 6.5 World Series titles and they haven't won a real one since 1988. And I'm just, I'm like, what? I really wanted to ask like how you got to that math. Like, what was fake about last year to you?
Please,
like,
please.
Yeah, just okay.
Yeah, this is.
I'm glad. I'm also glad we're just mentioning this being the 1-year anniversary of Ohtani signing and not the 366th day after JP Morosi reported that Ohtani was on a plane to Toronto.
Yes, to Toronto.
And JP Hornstra saying that he was signing with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
And JP Hornstra, who still acts as though he has a job and is a respected human being.
I just went to Arizona to watch the Cardinal Seahawks game because my best friend's a Seahawks fan. One of our Uber drivers was from San Diego, and we just started talking sports. He barely knew anything, but he's like, Padres were the best team. And I said, yes, they were. Sucks for them.
Yeah.
And then he had nothing. I was like, yeah, and it didn't do anything, so that sucks. But
yeah, typical Padres fan doesn't know anything.
Yeah, he didn't know much. He was pretending he knew. He was pretending to flex. I was like, you don't know anything, sir. But yeah, I'll give you that. They were the best team, and they lost. So next.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about a couple former Padres here. Because first off, let's talk about the one who's now a Dodger, and that is Blake Snell.
Yep.
The Dodgers not only, I mean, this is just, it's incredible. They win the World Series, and then they proceed to make the first gigantic splash of the postseason just a few weeks later, as if it was nothing. Out of nowhere, they're like, oh, here, Dodgers signed Blake Snell. Was it 5 years, 180 million or something like that?
Yeah,
was it 5 or 6?
I think it's 182, but yeah, splitting hairs at that point.
So, okay, so now the Dodgers have Blake Snell. And this is, I mean, it is truly remarkable because now you're setting up next season having a rotation of Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, at some point Shohei Ohtani, and then a mix of whoever the hell else, Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin are still hanging out. Clayton Kershaw will get a few starts at some point. Hopefully, maybe a Walker Buehler comes back. We will see. I still think they are going to add a starting pitcher, and because they got a frontline guy in Snell as an acquisition already, they can now just fill in the back end of that rotation, and Buehler kind of slots perfectly as that guy.
Yeah. Is there anybody like international?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay,
yeah.
That was the one I was forgetting. Yes.
Yeah.
Roki Sasaki will probably be a Dodger, and that's
that is such a fascinating situation to me. Every industry person is like, yeah, he's probably going to the Dodgers. But then I saw like Mike Schilt had a quote today talking about like the Padres and their pursuit, which obviously everybody should be pursuing him. He's going to be cheap as fuck. But then I saw a bunch of Padres fans just being like, oh, I'm so confident we're getting him now. Like, why does Schilt sound so confident? I'm reading it. And I'm like, it just sounds like he's talking about how they are set up for Sasaki. It's very strange. But then, yeah, like much like Ohtani, I think almost every well-connected person in the industry has been like, yeah, he's going to be a Dodger.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be a Dodger. Like John Heyman's the only one. And even he is like, the Padres have an outside chance, but everyone feels like he's going to be a Dodger. So that'll be a fun little, he could sign tomorrow, right? If he really wanted to.
I think there's like a date, right?
Well, the window closes in January, but it opens tomorrow. So theoretically he could just sign tomorrow, which would be really funny. Because then it would definitely be like they just had an under the table deal. They had a deal done under the table, but
it would also be perfect because it would happen 5 minutes before this episode releases.
Yeah,
like that's probably what's going to happen. So hey, there we go. But hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
This could be old, whatever. That's okay.
That, yeah.
we'll do it. But let's focus in on Snell here because I think Sasaki is an interesting situation in terms of the fact that it's either the only arguments I've heard against him joining the Dodgers is people saying, well, he would want to blaze his own path. And I don't know that, maybe, but probably not. I don't know. Did Yamamoto want to? Obviously not.
Yeah.
And who cares?
Right.
Like we wanted to win. So, I would imagine it would make sense for him to just also go to the Dodgers because everybody's just going to throw their name in the ring and it's just pick and choose what team you want to go.
The Dodgers want to own Japan. Like they do own Japan. They want to own Japan. Like it's not hard.
Yeah. And if he wanted to create his own path, then I don't see, like, as much as I don't want the Padres to be option 2, that does seem possible, right? Because Darvish is there. So you're like, okay, I get there's a connection. So it's like, so you're saying he's going to go to the Orioles to start his own, like, what are we saying here?
The only team that makes any sense for him to start his own path is either the Angels or the Mariners. And we saw what happened with the Angels, and I don't know if the Mariners need another pitcher, but who knows?
That's true. That's true. One thing they have.
They need hitting.
Yeah. So the Dodgers add Snell, and to be honest, like my initial reaction was, yeah, sure, why not? It's a very luxurious situation to be in because now that the Dodgers have won the World Series, it doesn't feel like the moves they make this year need to be done out of desperation or they have these gigantic needs that they need to address. The Dodgers looked at their rotation and said, we are missing a left-handed option. Out of like the options in terms of starting pitchers available for free agency, I kind of preferred Corbin Burns, but I'm not going to be that picky. Blake Snell's won multiple Cy Youngs. He's a fantastic pitcher. Is it a lot of money? Who cares? And I think that should be an overarching theme of this entire episode and the way that we as Dodger fans talk about the Dodgers for the remainder of time. Yeah. Who cares? The money, honestly, it genuinely does not matter. I have seen real people, real human beings try to say that at some point the Dodgers are going to regret all their deferred money because they're going to go bankrupt and not be able to pay anybody. And to that, I say, if the world gets to a point where the Dodgers go bankrupt, you are going to have much bigger issues on your hands than whether or not the Dodgers can pay someone. Because that means hell is literally frozen over. That means the world has plummeted. That means every major economy has fallen apart. The Dodgers are going to have more money than anyone for the remainder of time. They can do as they please with it. And they just did that by bringing in Blake Snell, a top-tier pitcher that addresses a hole in a rotation that didn't have an elite left-handed starter at this point. Hey, awesome. Bring him on in. This is a great addition for the first few years of his deal. If it doesn't age well, fine, whatever. I don't care. It is a great addition for this year and next year at the very least.
Yeah.
This whole thing with deferred money, it's like, you guys don't think they have like accountants that are like, hey, we're going to put this amount of money in the bank in a CD for the next 10 years. And all the interest that it makes, that's going to end up being the money you owe this man. Like they have plans A, B, C, and D already, like figure out how to make this work. And when the Blake Snell thing, I kind of was like, you right now. I was like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. He's never had like a Tommy John, has he?
I don't think he has.
I know he's been injured throughout. Yes. It's been like a groin, it's armpits.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's been elbows or anything.
I don't think he's had that. I think he had like a surgery one time to clean up what they say like bodies like floating or something. I don't. What do they call that when they're like to clean it up a little bit?
I know what you're talking about.
You know it's like floating around in there. I was like, that's weird, but okay, floating bodies and
floating bodies,
whatever they call it in the elbow,
dealing with the mafia.
Or something. Yeah. But he has not had a major Tommy John surgery, and so that's just kind of like what I was like. Well, is he due for that?
Let's see. He did have an elbow issue in 2019. But otherwise, its abductor was a big thing that kept barking. And yeah, he did have a groin injury last year.
Tough. I think it's tough to say that he's due for anything because it could happen to anybody at any given time. We don't know anymore.
Sure.
Or we don't know anything with these pitchers now. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Blake Snell has elite stuff. Has elite swing and miss command. His numbers like weren't fantastic last season. They're still great. I mean, really, again, it sounds like we're kind of spoiled here, but we're very spoiled.
Oh yeah.
So, that's honestly the reaction to Blake Snell is like, all right, sick, cool. I'm not like jumping over the moon about it because I don't need to be. It's great, strong addition. It would be a gigantic splash for any other franchise out there. For the Dodgers, it's and that's probably why a lot of people were kind of pissed off about it.
For the Dodgers, it was literally a Tuesday, I think.
Yeah,
It was.
like it literally just was a Tuesday.
No, the rich get richer.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what's happening here with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And and like you said already, they're not even done.
No,
they're not done.
No.
That story today about them being interested in Tanner Scott is very, 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 very much up my alley.
Yeah.
That is, please.
Tanner Scott would be an excellent addition.
I know Friedman says it every year, but that quote, I think it was after Snell's press conference where he was just like, I want to spend money now so we don't have to spend prospects or whatever at the trade deadline. I think that's really informative in terms of how they want to build this team this year. I really don't think they want to go into the deadline thinking like, oh, we have to get this piece. Like, we have to do this. Like, just get it done now when all you have to do is spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And quite frankly, they have a seemingly unlimited amount.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. But speaking of spending money, the Mets did exactly that. The Mets signed Juan Soto to 15 years, $765 million.
That's right.
Well, escalators for 800. So
really expensive escalators.
We can't be hypocritical. So
no.
I have no issue whatsoever with the Mets giving out that contract.
Exactly.
However, you are out of your fucking mind if you think that Juan Soto is worth 2 Bryce Harpers.
Yes.
Flat out.
Or more than Ohtani.
More than Ohtani.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the Dodgers, like, I think the Dodgers stopped at 600 mil. So good on them. But also, like, there's an opt-out after 5. So it's really just like a 5-year, $350 million deal, which is fine. Whatever. However, there is the possibility that he doesn't use that opt-out because maybe he's already a 31 or 32.
Yeah.
And not 26.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? But congratulations to the Mets. The funny thing here is the Yankees getting outbid by the Mets.
It's really funny.
I cannot.
They said
I cannot believe that happened.
$5 million difference that he went to the Mets for $5 million. And so in my head, I was like, Juan Soto, this makes me like you're great, you're fabulous. But just in terms of, it makes me feel like, oh, you don't care about winning. And I said this when the Dodgers signed Otani. I don't think one player, moves the needle enough to win a championship. And it wasn't one, if you think about
baseball.
It was Teoscar Hernández, it was Tommy Edman, it was all of these people alongside Ohtani. So for me, it's like the Mets, you think this guy moves your needle? Okay, absolutely not.
I know that Steve Cohen is rich and all that stuff, but I don't think the Mets are going to hand out another $1 billion in contracts this offseason.
Right.
And they've lost a lot of the guys that were key contributors to their pretty fluky run to CS last year. Their rotation right now has 2 guys that they're hoping they can convert into starters. I think, right? Like, it's kind of weird. John Heyman had a piece, I think, and since Heyman has Scott Boris's hand directly up his ass at all times.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
I do think there's some validity to the stories about Soto's family being mistreated by Yankees staff. I think that's really true, which is how do you have that happen if you're the Yankees?
Right.
Yeah.
Like the concept of the Yankees is dead and buried. It's gone. It's over. They're not that mystique that they had is just, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. At least for right now. I agree.
Yeah. They have had a very tragic month and a half.
Yeah.
Ever since they made it to the World Series. Everything
really, can we blame that fucking Goomba in the stands?
Yes. Let's do it.
Yeah. It's that guy. That's the curse of the Bambino for the Yankees.
Guy who is insisting on protecting his territory. Yeah, you heavily devalued your territory in that process and have sunk the franchise since then. So congratulations, buddy. Geez, yeah, it has been an absolute brutal stretch here for the Yankees. Because if you look at it, assuming that the deals were practically the same, I mean, the Yankees had a couple more years, which would have knocked down the average annual value. But if the total money is the same, it's in essence the same thing. It's in the exact same city, for God's sakes. It's not the location.
It's a better lineup, like just flat out. Like Aaron Judge is better than Francisco Lindor.
Right. Right. The right field fence is 8 feet from home plate. So like Juan Soto can just flick his bat for the next 15 years and end up with 600 home runs. And he decided to not do that. He actually left. So the Yankees need to be super
again too. Soto's not worth 2 Aaron Judges. Like it's such it's such an insane contract to give out. And it's not my money. Congrats, Steve Cohen. You're a psycho. But I have a feeling. I have a feeling that year 5 is going to hit. He's not going to take that opt out, and the Mets are suddenly going to be saddled with a 35-year-old DH. That's making $55 million a year.
I bet you the Yankees are like, maybe this was good. Like we were offering something, but maybe now they're like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust the Yankees to go spend that money. Like they'll sign Christian Walker probably. Maybe they'll like trade for Arenado, even though Arenado seems to be doing everything he possibly can to end up in LA. So I don't know, but it just feels like the Dodgers have really kind of taken the Yankees spot as that team that just signs the big fish and then goes and wins a championship or two.
Right. And that's the thing, right? In the long run, it probably is a better thing for the Yankees that this didn't happen. But the egg on their face right now is gigantic. Like it looks really, really bad for the state of the franchise.
You traded like legit prospect or two for Juan Soto, had him for an entire year, went to the World Series for the first time in like 15 years or whatever it was. And then he leaves. He's just all right. I'm cool. I'm out. Bye. Like that's nuts. That's not. Steinbrenner is looking up and shaking his fist at Hal for what's going on here.
And Monse, you mentioned it. When you look at, because again, there's no deferred money in the Juan Soto deal, meaning that the $765 million is the present day value of the deal. And if you look at the Ohtani deal, the present day value actually comes out to something around $470 because of the deferrals. So in essence, this contract says that Juan Soto is worth $300 million more than Shohei Ohtani. And there is not a single human being on earth who believes that. Not one.
Juan
Maybe
Soto
Scott Boras. No, Juan Soto doesn't even believe it. Scott Boras probably has convinced himself that he believes it, but in the back of his mind, he might still have a slight bit of conscience that's telling him, no, that's not true, Scott. And so, quite frankly, that's what makes it so wild.
Like, is Vlad Guerrero gonna get 771 next year? No. Right? Like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
Like,
and that's a good question. Because our guys at the Sick Podcast and Yellow and Sammy had asked us prior to this, like, when is it going to stop? And I think the answer is with Soto, because I can't think of anybody coming after him that could possibly top this. At least not right now.
It does seem like the consensus though is that everyone's like, yeah, he's not worth that. Like everything I've read is like, he's not worth that. Like he's great. He's great. And, give him hundreds of millions of dollars, but not that. And so I feel like other people, if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is like, I want to make more money. Everyone's gonna be like, okay, let's be real. He didn't deserve that. Like, let's be realistic here moving forward.
Yeah. Like Vlad's gonna be lucky to get 300. I feel like I feel like his production like really kind of tailed off the last couple years. He's still a solid middle of the order bat, but Juan Soto when Juan Soto's on, he is maybe the best all-around hitter in baseball. The Ted Williams comparisons have been legit. I understand that people want to point to the fact they hit 285 last season, but I mean, regardless of that, like his ability to hit for both contact and power at an elite level is something that is incredibly rare. So I get it in that standpoint. Like he's very much a generational talent, but after him, Bobby, good on the Royals to extend Bobby Witt, and they gave him a deal that at the time was good for both sides. Like Witt got paid, but it was in the $200 million. Granted, if Witt tried to get an extension right now, it's probably double that. But he's the only guy where he's that combination of youth and elite talent where if he were to hit the open market in the next couple of years, obviously he won't because of the extension, but like that's the only kind of person where I could see him maybe reaching even close to that dollar amount, but I don't think so. Outside of him, I don't know. Like Paul Skeens will probably get $300 to $400 million maybe at some point.
And that might be next year.
Yeah.
Like the Pirates might buy out his free Soto is I think that's a good call. I think Soto is the resetting of these MLB contracts. It really should have been Ohtani because Ohtani's the only one that does two things at an elite level.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is the end. It's kind of bittersweet though. I really was hoping he was going to be a Dodger. That would have been so much fun.
Yeah, would have been fun.
And let's look at this because this has been a big conversation within Dodger fans for the last month. Was the question of Soto or Teoscar Hernandez. And Teoscar Hernandez at this present time is still a free agent. But again, knowing our luck, 5 minutes before this show is published, he will be on a team. Now, I think that the Soto deal, obviously Soto not coming to the Dodgers just amps up the importance of bringing back Teoscar. I know we've talked throughout the season of what it would look like to retain Teoscar, whether or not we should. I've brought up the point, and I will, I don't want to say I've gone back and forth, but I have brought up the point of like, well, his defense is limiting and DH is already set. But I think now, especially given the fact that Soto is not going to be an option, Michael Conforto is a nice 1-year deal. I think adds some flexibility to the outfield, but I don't see Conforto signing as something that means there's no Teoscar. In fact, I think it just makes it even more important because they really do need multiple outfielders.
Yeah, they said Conforto's an everyday player today. So that leaves, well, with the other stuff we're going to talk about, you have 2 outfield spots filled right now, and the other one is occupied by Chris Taylor, Andy Pajes, and I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, they need another outfielder.
Yeah.
Anyone that says they don't is kidding themselves. They do.
Yeah.
And now they're saying that Conforto is being viewed as an everyday player. Again, that could easily very well be.
Yeah, I do think of D. Gordon as our second baseman. I think about that a lot too.
But the part of that too is because they also said today that Mookie Betts is going to be viewed as a full-time shortstop next season, which is a choice. that's a choice. I think again, a lot of these things that they say in terms of positionality, I feel like when they're in the midst of the offseason, I can't help but feel there's always a level of negotiation tactics. And it's hard for me to like fully buy into one idea because we completely forgot the Dodgers extended Tommy Edman, which is huge. Love that. That was great.
Can we got to pull that. We got to clip that. I think I called that when they traded for him.
That's a great deal for 5 years. He's the ultimate Andrew Friedman player. This is a guy who can play every position, well, can get on base well, can hit for power sometimes, hits at both sides of the plate. Like it's Andrew Friedman's dream player. It's prime Chris Taylor as a switch hitter. This is what he wanted. And he's gotten it. But now you look at this as, are they now penciling in Edman as an everyday center fielder then? Because quite frankly, I'd rather have him at short instead of Mookie.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's why I find it a little odd.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is like obviously they don't trust Gavin Lux, and that's I think the problem here, which is what they're trying to like figure out. But I was like, why is Tommy Edman not the starting shortstop? I think he's a year or two younger than Mookie. Mookie's 31. 32, 31.
I think he like
something
just
like
turned 32.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think Edmund might be 29, 30 or something like that. He's like slightly younger, and I don't get the move to put the extra mileage on Mookie. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I think the team likes Gavin Lux a lot more than we would be willing to know. Like, I think they really still believe in Gavin Lux, but obviously not as a shortstop.
Yeah.
But it is weird how much they're talking themselves into Mookie. Like, yeah, he just can't throw from short, which is like 99% of being a good shortstop is being able to throw across the diamond. His accuracy was a problem. And they're like, well, yeah, he only had 12 days to do it before, which is like, I guess, but the whole point of taking Mookie out of the outfield is to like put less strain on his body, right? So why do you put him at the most stressful position on the infield?
Yeah.
Literally.
It's very strange. There's so much smoke around Nolan Arenado to the Dodgers where it feels like it's real to a degree, and putting Mookie at shortstop is the only way that a trade for Arenado makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because then you can put Muncy at second, but Nolan Arenado is not good anymore. So I don't know. I'm not going to question the front office given their track record of success, but it is very weird to insist on doing the Mookie at shortstop thing again.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And that was my reaction too, where
like if you want a center fielder, just go trade for Cody Bellinger. Like,
honestly,
I think center fielders are easier to get than shortstops.
Yes.
In this market.
Yeah.
Like,
because that's what I was hoping the Edmund extension meant. That they were locking him down as their shortstop for the next few years. Because it's easier to get a center fielder.
Yeah.
But that's when they said at the beginning of the offseason, which they said literally like I don't know, like I think day of the parade or whatever.
Mookie was probably working off the hangover when Dave called and said, "Hey, you're going to be on the infield next year."
They did. It was the first thing they did this offseason was, Mookie's going to play the infield. I read that as them, telling Juan Soto that right field is open.
Yeah,
right.
But that was also, I assumed that when they said infield, that they meant second base, because it is such a huge transition. He did fine at short, but as you said, like the arm accuracy is not what you would want from a shortstop.
No.
But he's okay at short.
I will say I trust the talent to work itself out there. Like if Mookie really gets the entire offseason to dedicate himself to learning how to play shortstop, it could work, I guess, but it is just, it feels like an organizational thing right now.
Yeah. And so I do wonder, maybe I'm reading the tea leaves too much, but if the move at the start of the offseason was saying Mookie's going back to the infield, not specifying where, was to, tell Juan Soto right field is open. Now that Juan Soto signed, they're saying, okay, specifically, he's actually going to shortstop, which means Max Muncy can go to second base. So Nolan, I know that you're begging for the Dodgers to trade for you, and suddenly, actually, we kind of can. And Nolan Arenado's like desire to come to the Dodgers has been, I think, since he was a child, honestly.
Right. He has been openly.
Yeah. Like there was a time when he was on the Rockies. Remember, there was an Athletic article where like they quoted Corey Seager as like saying like, yeah, that guy, referring to Nolan, that guy wants to be a Dodger so bad. Like, like he's always wanted to do it. So I think he's posted multiple Instagram stories where he's like tagged the Dodgers for just no reason. The guy is still on the Cardinals. Like he's on a team. So it is just bizarre. But he's being shameless about it at this point. And honestly, hey, more power to him. He's getting to the twilight of his career. He desperately wants to be a Dodger. So he's just got to be
like Max Fried and just go party with them after the World Series.
Yeah. And I feel bad for Max Fried because if Blake Snell wasn't available, they probably just would have signed Max Fried.
Yeah.
And I've had, people tell me, friends of Max Fried have said like, yeah, he was desperate. Like he was pleading for the Dodgers to come get him, but they liked Blake Snell more. They still could. I mean, why not? Again, who cares? Go.
That's the theme.
Starting pitchers.
Why not?
Why not?
That's the theme.
If to just wrap up the thoughts on Snell there, if you look at the starting rotation and think, oh, well, there's a whole lot of starting pitchers, just remember that we thought that at the start of the 2024
single
season.
year.
Right.
And you run out of starting pitchers when you get to the playoffs. So I think they should just have like 8 legitimate starting pitchers to start the year. Why not?
Yeah.
Because people are going to be hurt. You don't want to run out. So, overall, hopefully Teoscar does come back. I feel like he's going to.
Yeah. Doesn't make any like the Dodgers want him back. He wants to come back. Like they can.
I was gonna say it's a mutual feeling, right?
Yeah. The feelings were mutual between Blake Trinan and the Dodgers.
Yes.
Blake is back.
Nice.
Which is that shores up the bullpen. That's very necessary and had an incredible playoff run. Very well deserving of being a 2024 World Series champion. Thank you, Blake. Well done. So we're happy to be back.
He was not missing that White House trip.
No, he was not.
It's for him.
There was no force on heaven and earth that was going to make him miss that White House trip.
So I'm coming back as long as it's after January 20th. That's all right. I'm asking.
That's right.
I will sign whatever you want as long as it's after January 20th. And they're like, okay, fine, Blake. It's a yes, thank you very much. So good. Are there any other moves that I am missing? Brent Honeywell was non-tendered. Hey,
he
Brent,
just needs to be the team mascot.
Yes. Yeah. Why not? Just come hang out at the stadium. That's fine. That's what Ryu's doing for his Korean team. Ryu got like that 10-year deal with the Korean team. He doesn't even pitch. He just hangs out there. So Brent Honeywell could be that for us. Just come hang out. This is the thing. This is these guys are all world champions, and we will all we will forever recognize.
No, that's the best part, man. Like we have our Gibby with Freddie's Grand Slam. Brent Honeywell is going to be a name we remember for the rest of our lives. Like it's a magical team. And I think in the last 5 minutes here, I think I may have talked myself into Arenado.
Nice.
If they go that route.
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, he was worth half a win less than Max last year, but he did double up Max's at bats.
Yeah,
that's true. Muncy did miss a lot of time. That would be
272.
The most fascinating defensive infield in history.
You
have Max Muncy at second, Mookie at short, Nolan Arenado at third.
I mean, the Cardinals' entire pitching strategy is also to just make sure balls are getting put into play like as much as you can. So that might make your defensive stats suffer if you're like constantly having to field balls.
Overall, just this will be interesting. The final word that I want to have in terms of, I think a friend of the show, Scott Gearman, pointed it out on Twitter today. Like, remember, don't get too happy about just running it back. Because we see all the time sports teams just run it back after winning titles, and it causes that team to just kind of fall apart. We saw that's what happened with the Giants. Hey, they got three rings. Okay, like that. You can't take that away from them. I'm sure every Giants fan would hold on to those for the remainder of their life, knowing what happened to the team after those rings. But the Giants kept running it back with the same guys, and then soon enough, like Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford, outside of a very weird 2021, we're just kind of hanging out there for the next decade. And we see it all the time. So I think the Dodgers are a little immune to falling apart from running it back. I think they're totally fine. I think the Dodgers are going to.
Yeah, I mean, they
brought
Blake Snell in like immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
They're smart, but like I want Teoscar back, but I also don't want to give him like a 4-year deal because I do think after 2 or 3 years that deal is going to be something you might be looking to move. So the Dodgers are going to be smart about it.
Yeah.
It is. I don't think we really talked about it, but there's no need to since it doesn't matter. But like the amount of Dodger fans that were like, I don't want Juan Soto. Give me Teoscar Hernandez is insane. Just insane.
Yeah.
It's like because Teoscar was a clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
Like that's, you liked him through a screen.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Then you have like Aaron Judge, who's very stoic, and you don't get a lot. You know what I mean? Even like you don't get a lot from them. But with Teoscar, Kike Hernandez, like you on the screen, you like them without just the screen. You know, it's crazy, and that said a lot.
Yeah. I saw many of those polls in terms of do you want Teoscar or Juan Soto, and a lot of people tend to go like 60-40 Teoscar.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell people, like, if the Dodgers did not win the World Series and Teoscar did everything the same, obviously he was crucial to their World Series run, but let's say like the result was different and Teoscar played the exact same way throughout the playoffs, those polls would be like 90-10 Juan Soto.
Yeah.
And that's really more what it should be, because in terms of pure talent and in terms of what they do to the lineup, that's who Juan Soto is. Now, granted, seeing what Soto did get in terms of pure dollar value and everything, we're good. we got the title. We don't need to do that. It's they can still add elite talent without spending $700 million on one guy. Well, they spent $700 million on one guy, but that guy.
But he's pretty much 2-1.
yeah, exactly. And he's actually getting paid less than the grants. We're going to wrap this up. I don't want to go into a gigantic discussion on deferrals and the way that other fans now use it as a slur against the Dodgers. But basically, deferrals are a very smart way of signing contracts, and they're completely fine to do. I do think that probably in the next CBA, things will be different only because of Ohtani's contract. Just in terms of like percentages of what can be deferred, but deferrals will exist for the remainder of time.
They've existed before, and they will exist into the future.
Yes, tons of teams have used them. Tons of teams are currently using them. Ken Griffey Jr. is still getting paid by the Reds. Like he was like their
one of their highest paid players 3 years ago. 4 years ago. And it's like,
like these are things that teams do, and now it seems to be people are just kind of tweeting it with every Dodgers deal, even like Tommy Edman getting deferred. Michael Conforto got a little bit deferred, and that shouldn't matter to anyone, but people will put that out there because they know like anybody who's not a Dodger fan will see that and be like, oh, these guys are ruining baseball. No, it's 1 year of Michael Conforto. They're just like, the players want it, the teams want it. It's fine. Like it's all good. So keep deferring that money. Keep doing what you want. All right, so we're gonna wrap things up here. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodgers Zone. My name's Ryan Bershinger. She is Monse Bolaños. He is Beau Benson. We'll be coming at you throughout the off season here and there. We're probably going to take the rest of 2024 off, unless, as I said, things happen 5 minutes before we publish this episode. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So we will catch you in 2025. It is just an incredible time to be a Dodger fan. Let's keep the good times rolling. So you guys, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and yours.
Okay.
Yes.
Happy Hanukkah.
And
happy holidays.
Happy
Just all of
Kwanzaa.
them.
Yeah, there you go, Bersh. Jeez.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Yes.
Someone's going to write a review and they're going to be like, the Dodgers podcast said Happy Holidays and not Merry Christmas. What the hell?
We said them all.
All right. We will see you all next time. Domo arigato, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, The Dodgers Zone, on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.